Hey guys, Kalltorak here. Today, I want to talk to you about everything Thorns in patch 0.2. Thorns is pretty freaking awesome, and to be honest, things are going way better than I expected. If I knew Thorns was this strong, I definitely would have league started as Thorns. During this video, I'll have footage playing from my current Thorns character. I am leveling a Warbringer with a super juiced Thorns set. At every level bracket, I'm wearing the best possible Thorns gear just to see how hard Thorns can dominate the full game. Seriously, this setup is nuts. So fun, and was expensive. I spent like 5 divine total worth of currency, if you count all of the sockets and the Thorns runes I slapped in them. But it was worth it. I'm literally punching my way through the campaign. Seriously, I'm using punch. I'll link my leveling stream down below so you can find the passive tree route I took. If you're interested in following along with this, come check out my stream on both YouTube and Twitch, and subscribe if you want video updates on that journey. I'll be releasing loads of Thorns content over the coming weeks. Multiple videos and builds for many Ascendancies. Okay, let's dive into Thorns. If you do not know what Thorns is, it is a modifier you can find on gear. When you take a melee strike, you deal your Thorns back to an enemy that hit you. If I have 50 Thorns damage, and an enemy hits me for 1 or 5,000 melee damage, it doesn't matter, I will do 50 damage back to them. So yeah, you get hit with a melee strike, and then you deal the damage. What's core to enabling Thorns is Crown of the Pale King. This makes all hits, not just melee hits, deal 4 damage. From here, you just stack as much Thorns damage as possible, and you have the basic understanding of Thorns. Okay, so what all is different from 0.1? Well, the passives are completely different. Thornhide got buffed, so crit Thorns is just better. Spiked armor was reworked to Thorns damage has a chance to ignore enemy armor. You can get 100% with all of the nodes. Revenge is now 3% of armor from equipped body armor as physical Thorns damage. Retaliation is 75% increased Thorns damage if you've blocked recently. And lastly, and most important, Vengeance is a percent of Thorns damage now leached as life. There are a bunch of small passive nodes for all of these things that are really nice, but I need to talk about Thorns and leeching. This is insane. When combined with Vow Pact, I've become an unkillable god. Seriously, I've never felt more indestructible in the campaign. I stand around in packs of mobs fully AFK or in high damage attacks, and I live through it easily. The life leech is insane here, and so much fun. I thought there would be a little bit of friction, especially early on, giving up my life flask, but there has been none. Vow Pact combined with this has been incredible. Overall, these passive changes are really good for the direction of Thorns. Big W here. One of the biggest changes to the patch was just a buff to Thorns rolls in general. In the highest tiers of gear, it's 3.5 times more Thorns than before. And this is seriously insane. Thorns items at level 28 have the same amount of Thorns that Endgame's item had in 0.1. A level 48 Thorns item has 48 to 120 Thorns damage on them. It's crazy. Upgrading your Thorns gear throughout the campaign will lead to you very consistently getting these massive spikes in damage that makes progressing very smooth. Make sure you are constantly checking for upgrades for your chest, belt, and shield. What really enables Thorns though is the new support gems. A lot of the time in the last patch, you were forced to do auto attack with your builds because many enemies don't function with Thorns well. Several new support gems were aimed at fixing this, and I have to say I am quite impressed. there are 5 new support gems I want to talk about. First, let's talk about Barbs and Quill Burst. These 2 support gems modify melee attack skills. These support gems trigger after you retaliate with Thorns, aka once you've done damage with a Thorns Reflect. Barbs makes your next 4 melee hits deal your Thorns damage, and Quill Burst makes your next 3 melee hits do AoE Thorns damage. These 2 support gems are awesome in their execution and solve most of the problems I have with D3 Crusader Thorns and Diablo 4 Thorns. D3 Crusader Thorns to me really wasn't a Thorns build, it was just an auto attack build. You didn't really care about the reflect portion of Thorns, your autos just scaled off Thorns and you just face rolled the game with left click. In Diablo 4, you just take the damage and everything explodes. Both are the extreme ends of the spectrum here, and GGG nailed a nice middle ground. Well done. Next is the support gem, Thorn Skin. This only goes in spirit gems, and it gives you around 40% increased Thorns damage. So you just slap this in Scavenge Plating, which buffs our Thorns damage when we break armor. It's a perma buff that doesn't depend on stacks of Scavenge Plating. Once it's in the spirit gem, you have the buff. Crackling Barrier gives you Thorns damage equal to 15% of your maximum mana while channeling a skill. So this is great for Resonating Shield. A lot of Thorns builds will be spamming Resonating Shield by default for armor break and block, so this just fits nice. Lastly, we have the support gem Caltrops. This is different from the spirit gem Caltrops, where it drop 1 when you dodge roll. This drops Caltrops off of spear projectiles. It's kinda cool. I was messing with it on my Tactician a bit. It scales off Thorns damage modifiers though. It doesn't actually scale off of Thorns damage. So there's really no benefit to wearing a bunch of Thorns gear for Caltrops. It does scale off of the modifiers like percent increased damage, but my other problem with it was it has a cap of 20 Caltrops, which I was hitting very easily on my Tactician with no investment into extra projectiles. This made the style feel much worse. At one point, I want to do a Caltrops build on a Deadeye with the extra projectile, but it doesn't fit into the current Thorn style I'm wanting to play. I will do a Caltrops build at some point, but yeah, it doesn't fully function with Thorns like we were expecting. Alright, let's talk about gear. In general, for rares, Thorns goes way higher than before. I talked about it before, but here are the max rolls from last patch compared to the current ones I see on the trade shop. All rares have had their Thorns values greatly increased. Big dub here. For helmets, there are 2 options. At level 1, you can use Crown of Thorns, but you won't for very long. Crown of the Pale King is forever best in slot for Thorns until a similar effect is added elsewhere. You will always use this helmet. For chest, there are 3 unique options: Idrin's Tusk, Cloak of Flame, and Belly of the Beast. Idrin's Tusk is okay initially while leveling, but quickly gets outscaled by the new rares. Belly of the Beast I wouldn't bother using over the new rare chest as well. It's just not enough Thorns. Cloak of Flame has some potential though. Rare chests get far more Thorns, but Cloak of Flame's tankiness and the added effect of Fire Thorns could lead to some cool and extra tanky builds. For rings, we got a new unique, Prized Pain. 35 to 52 Thorns damage, and you deal your Thorns damage to enemies you stun with melee attacks. The dealing Thorns damage to stun enemies is cool, but I do not know if we will be using this ring endgame. We get a lot of defensive value from rings, but would be cool to see a Ritualist rocking 3 of these. For boots, we have Beetlebite and Briar Patch. But Briar Patch are insane now. They got buffed to 25% crit. Beetlebite will be used in Caltrops builds, but most Thorns builds will be using the crit boots. They are giga insane. You will always be using them. Dreadfist are a new unique glove, which gives us Thorns damage on the glove slot. Very nice. We didn't have this before. They also have the added effect of critical hits inflict Impale, but critical hits cannot extract Impale. I'm new to Impale. I'm not sure what this means in terms of like total DPS for Thorns with this. I don't know if this is just like a huge DPS increase or it's just like minor. But hey, we got Thorns gloves now. For weapon, there is still Bloodthorn. It's really bad. You can't use a shield with it. You're honestly better off starting with a shield instead of Bloodthorn. Unless you want to do some weird weapon swap things. But I don't know. There might be a niche build with Bloodthorn, but for at least leveling, stay away. There is a new unique called Sculpted Suffering. It doesn't have Thorns, but it does some armor break stuff that pairs really well with the Thorns playstyle. Extra AoE, and it's a fast attack speed. For runes, we got a new one that gives you 1 to 10 Lightning Thorns damage, and this was where a lot of the cost of this build came from. As the league goes on, these runes will drop in price, so these will be super cheap to slot into your gear. Again, I was having to buy a bunch of the jeweler slots and a bunch of my runes for my gear, from anywhere from 1 to 2 exalts per each of those consumes, and I put a lot of them, so that's where most of the 5 divines came from. Once those prices are down, this is really just all super cheap to slot into your gear. And for jewels, we got 3 Thorns options. Percent increased Thorns damage on red jewels. You also have time loss jewels that give you Thorns damage to small passive nodes in the radius. Then you have Prism of Belief for scavenged plating, which will help increase the Thorn scaling. Now, this is everything I could find that directly buffs Thorns or impacts Thorns, but I'm sure there are things I've missed or haven't found yet. So comment down below if you find something. Also, like and subscribe. These changes are cool, but how do we scale our Thorns damage further? Well, there are a lot of ways to do that now, which is great. Physical damage, armor break, crit, Thorns damage, percent Thorns damage increases, scaling damage through block, elemental damage, pin. Thorns is in a very powerful and interesting position, so honestly, I think there are a lot of ways to build and enable Thorns. I have no idea what to expect in the coming weeks, but I can imagine there are going to be multiple styles and ascendancies that work well here. Seriously, I'm just running around punching people on a Warbringer. I went Warbringer because I wanted to live the fantasy of being an unstoppable brick shithouse. Running through the map, never stopping, just attacking my way to glory. That's what I wanted. So that's why I went this Ascendancy. So with that, let's talk about Ascendancies and which are good for Thorns. And honestly, I think most of them are. I went Warbringer for Turtle Charm. Turtle Charm lets you block all damage from hits without raising your shield, which again just kind of lets me run through the map never having to use Resonating Shield. All the armor break stuff makes it to where you don't have to use Resonating Shield even more as well, so it's just a fun Ascendancy for Thorns. Titan, though, is possibly the best. Titan was very close to being my league starter because of how insane Hulking Form is. With how powerful the Life Leech is, the extra gain from all the Thorns small passive nodes will be huge here. Titan is a no-brainer and possible the best option for Thorns. Smith of Katava, though, is a super cool option for Thorns. Now, if GGG watches this, please consider adding a Thorns option to the chest crafting Ascendancy. Right now, we get a lot of Thorns damage from chest pieces. Smith is very appealing because of how tanky it is, and will be very, very good if it gets a Thorns addition to its Ascendancy. But right now, you might actually be forced to skip using that entire aspect of the Ascendancy if you're Thornsing. This Ascendancy has a lot of potential though, and could be very great for Thorns. Currently, I am planning on league starting Thorns in 0.3, and it very well could be on Smith of Katava. Next up, let's talk about Chronomancer and Stormweaver. Chronomancer is cool because of all the recoup stuff. Stacked with Thorns leeching, you will actually be unkillable. Stormweaver has potential because of all the shock stuff. If Lightning Thorns ever takes off, I could see Stormweaver having a place here. Mage could also be solid, given how tanky the Ascendancy is. Gemling, Witch Hunter, and Tactician all have potential. The pinning from Tactician could be really cool, but also it has a bit of friction with it, since they stop attacking when pinned. Possibly, a Kalltorak style here. Same with Deadeye, by the way. If I do a Kalltorak style, it'll very likely be on Deadeye, if they increase the cap. Gemling would be good for the buffs to Resonating Shield and Scavenge Plating. Multiple support gems as well would allow you to use Barbs and Quill Burst in 2 different skills. You could put them in Mace Attack and Resonating Shield. And Witch Hunter is just really solid for Reflect builds in general. The reduced concentration is really nice for bossing. I also think Ritualist could be really cool with 3 rings. There's a lot of serious potential here with Thorns. I think any class will be able to use Thorns to level to endgame. I've already blown through the campaign on normal with my fist. So yeah, Thorns is here, and it's real, boys. I'll be posting a video in the coming days for my Thorns Warbringer once I've cleared red maps, so stay tuned for that. I'm pretty confident I'll be able to clear Arbiter, but only time will tell. What are your thoughts on Thorns? Are you guys having as much fun in 0.2 as I am? Apologies to Darth microtransaction. We once again ran out of time. Take care, boys. See you in the next one.